So over the past 5 years or so, I've been a self-taught painter, and sometimes it feels like I'm creating endlessly and going nowhere, a sort of stagnation, if you will. That is until I take a look back at all the work I've done and I can physically see the growth, or I can at least see the refinement in my skill. For example, here's a painting that I did in, I believe, 2019. As you can see, I was just kind of putting stuff everywhere. I wanted to do something bee themed, very yellow at the time. And here's the example of what to compare it to. I had sort of the same idea, but you can see that there's some refinement of skill involved, and it just looks like a better or a more complete painting, at least to me. And I did this painting recently, I believe last year, middle of last year, 2022. And this stresses the importance of not just putting the hours in painting or whatever art you do, but actually striving to improve in that art. At the time that I painted this, I didn't foresee myself being like a great painter or anything, but in my head, that's what I wanted to be in the future. Like, so future me was like, I want to be a great painter one day, and with every painting that I did, I wanted to improve at least slightly to get to the goal where I still want to get to. And I'm actually still striving to get there. Here are some examples of paintings that even recently I've done, so a couple years ago, compared to paintings I've done very recently, so this year. And I mean, I actually kind of like some of the older paintings better for various other reasons. That's the disclaimer. But you can see at least that there's a refinement of skill involved here, and you can see that a better artist created these more recent ones, or at least a more refined one. And I've used the word refined because refined may not always mean better, but it means that there's more skill involved, there's better use of technique. And if the base of your refinement or the base of your skill rises, then you will fall back down to the level of I guess the expression is you fall back down to the level of your training. I'll tell you this, what is even more encouraging than other people appreciating your art is when you can see the improvement yourself and you can see yourself getting better. That will make you want to continue even more than a complete stranger admiring your work. Or at least that's what I believe. Because as artists know, we are our own biggest critics. It is rare that I am actually truly proud of a painting when I'm done with it. And what do I mean by that? I don't mean that when I'm done with the painting I'm disgusted by it or something. It just means that I never really give one of my paintings a 10 out of 10, I never really feel like it's completed to the best it could be in a perfect world. There's just always something that I feel like could be improved, even if I'm not capable at the time, which is actually crazy to think about. How frustrating would that be to know that there's something that could be improved on it, but you know that you're not capable at the time. And that's kind of that feeling that probably a lot of artists go through, but I know I for sure go through it. So the only way to get to that point where you can actually improve is to continue getting better, learn new skills, learn new principles that you may have not learned. Which, I mean, that's one of the drawbacks to being self-taught is you don't start out with all those fundamentals, you just have to kind of find them as you go. But yeah, that's sort of the way I feel when I complete a painting. Even this painting right here, which I find to be one of my better ones, actually one of the few ones when I was done with it I was actually kind of proud of. In the beginning when I looked at it, I was like, man, I wish there were things that I could do differently, but I mean, now you kind of just let it be. I learned to be proud of it, and it's still one of my favorite paintings today, so there's that. And again, I'm not saying it's like bad or anything, it's just I just in my head think I could have done a little bit better, which I don't even know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. But by the way, to see some of my older paintings or look at some of the newer paintings as they come out, check out my Instagram and my website. thetonecanvas.com. But anyway, let's move on. So something that I went over earlier that I should definitely bring more attention to now is when you're doing painting or doing art, it's important to not just put time in, but to strive to actually get better. And that's actually harder to do than you think. You have to be mindful and self-aware in the moment. So, for example, let me show you. So, this painting and this painting, I don't know if you can see them or not, they're the same subject. So this one I did probably 3 years earlier than I did this one, and you can definitely see the difference in refinement between the two. So with this one, actually, you know how I said I'm not really too proud of most of the paintings I do. At the time, as a beginning painter, as some of you may know, beginning artist, you actually think that you're better than you are. So when I made this, I thought I was the guy. I was like, wow, this is extremely good. But then obviously as I kept going, I was like, okay, there's a lot of room to improve. And then I got to this point where I was really trying to touch into the refinement. As you can see, definitely cleaner, more crisp. The composition is better, and I just thought, well, now obviously there's a frame on it, it's all dressed up and everything, but the point is, same subject. I mean, and that doesn't mean necessarily that this painting is a better one than this one, but I mean, well, at least I think this one's better. And you guys probably do too, because that's what tends to happen when you get better. But that's just one example of when you're doing something. Wait, what was I saying? Oh yeah, but like I was saying earlier, when I was doing this painting, it was at a time when I was just painting, doing the same technique, like, oh, I know what I'm doing, I'm pretty good, let's just keep doing what I'm doing. And obviously, as you can see, 2 years later, or 3 years, however many years later, doesn't matter, I started to realize, okay, let me start being more refined, let me start thinking about more things outside of just putting the subject on the canvas. Let me think about how things are arranged, let me think about shadows, composition, and just making it look overall more clean. And more clean or more refined doesn't always mean more precise, but just more refined in whatever style that you do. But yeah, that's pretty much all I had. Just stuff to think about. So if you like that, please subscribe, like the video, all that cool stuff. So thank you. Also, if you're interested in my process of how I actually paint, you can actually check out my class on Skillshare that shows you how to. That'll be in the link down below. Intro to oil painting.